So before I get into this video on blind weighing versus weight exposure, I just want to update you on my week and my last video, because in my last video I was really struggling with going out to eat for dinner, and in the past week I've been out to eat for dinner like 3 times. Going out for dinner again, which is fine, it's good. Gotta keep doing these things so that I don't get scared of them again. Yes. And it is getting so much easier. Honestly, challenge repeat really does work. So I've been out for Indian food, I went out for Thai food and had a glass of wine as well. And then last night I went out for Italian food, which if you have watched my other videos, you'll know that Italian food is the hardest for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it wasn't an easy decision for me. Yesterday I had my first research experiment with a participant, so I'm doing a PhD, so that was a big deal for me. And I was out with some other students and we were having drinks, so I was having a couple of glasses of wine, and they suggested going out for Italian food for dinner since we were all there and it was dinner time. And yeah, I freaked out. There were a lot of thoughts in my head. Go home, eating something at home is lower calorie, eating something at home is cheaper. Italian food, you can't eat Italian food. Pasta, pizza, no. But I lived the life that I ultimately want to live, and I went out for pasta. I had tagliatelle with parmesan on top and like roasted vegetables, capers, tomatoey sauce, I don't know. It was really delicious. And then after that I had a cocktail. So none of these things are easy, but they do get easier. And like, if I hadn't been challenging myself for the past year, I never would have been able to do my research experiment yesterday, and I definitely would not have been celebrating it, because when I'm in my eating disorder I just don't celebrate anything. Life just sucks. And even though it made me anxious, I'm really, really glad that I did it, and I know next time will be even easier. So I just wanted to share a few recovery wins, I guess, because I personally find it really motivating when I hear about other people really challenging their eating disorder. So if you have any recovery wins you'd like to share, feel free to send me a message or let me know, because I really do love hearing about them. Anyway, so just wanted to interject and share that. So I want to just talk for a little bit about blind weighing versus weight exposure. I've been meaning to talk about this for a long time, because I think whether you decide to see your weight or not during the process of recovery can have a really huge effect on your progress and on your recovery. So I think there are really 2 schools of thought on this primarily. One is that people with eating disorders should see their weight. People with anorexia should see their weight when they get weighed with their treatment team once a week or once a fortnight, or however often, and that they should be working on being able to see the number and not feel anything about it. The aim is to be exposed to the number and be okay with it. I think the other school of thought is blind weighing, knowing that people with anorexia or with eating disorders do experience some kind of emotional response to seeing the number on the scales. The idea is not to see the number so that people can gain weight or live their lives just without becoming obsessive about the number, which is what tends to happen when we see the number on the scales. In my experience, my treatment team is very much from the school of thought that you should see your weight on the scales, you should be exposed to that, and work with your therapist on being okay with it and not obsessing over the number and not assigning any kind of value or worth first attempt at recovery, I would see the number every week, and I found that really difficult. I didn't make a lot of progress in recovery. I basically yo-yoed back and forth. Each week I would go, get weighed. If the weight was higher, I would run back to anorexia and restrict because I just could not bear the thought of my weight being that number. And if the weight was lower, then I thought, yes, I can do recovery this week. I can eat. I can do this. This is fine. And then after that, I ended up relapsing. So that's a long story, but now in my second and I hope final attempt at recovery, I'm doing a lot better. My trajectory has been much more just upwards, and in a meeting with my psychiatrist this week, he asked me about that. He said, what's changed this time around? How come you've managed to consistently gain weight this time, whereas last time you were really caught in that yo-yo cycle? And I think there are a lot of factors that have contributed to this, but a big one is definitely that I asked my treatment team quite firmly if I could be blind weighed, because I'd tried the weight exposure thing, and let's be honest, it didn't work. I'm going to be honest with you and say that my treatment team was reluctant to let me be blind weighed. In the treatment programs that I did, no one else was being blind weighed. Everyone else was doing the weight exposure type of work. And I commend people who do that and who can do that successfully. Like I know from watching Mexi Recovery's videos that's what her treatment team advises as well, and she has managed that really well. I did not feel ready to see the number, and I think that the way that I've approached my weight this time around has been good for my recovery. Because in the past, when I would see my weight every week, that would have a huge effect on me. Like honestly, I would see the number and it would change how I saw myself. If it was higher, I would suddenly look at myself and I would see myself as if I was bigger. Like it had a huge effect, even if it was just a very slight weight gain. And the number would replay in my mind all the time. It was really obsessive for me, knowing the precise number. Whereas being blind weighed, my treatment team would tell me if it was up, which it pretty much always was, or if it was down, or if it stayed roughly the same. That was just much easier for me to handle. When you're trying to gain weight, you know that the number has to go up, but it's also easy to become obsessive about the precise increments that your weight increases by. Like when you're challenging fair foods and stuff like that, if you have a big weight jump one week, you suddenly attribute it to, I ate carrot cake this week, so that's what did it, I'm not eating that again. The numbers just become a whole extra thing to think about and worry about. So I've been blind weighed for the past year or so of my recovery. Having said that, not everyone in my team realised that I was being blind weighed, and so there were times when someone would mention my weight to me, or I would notice my weight written up at the top of a document or something like that. So sporadically through the year I did end up knowing my weight, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. It definitely did. When I did see the number those times, there was like an initial shock. I did have the thoughts of running back to anorexia, but I didn't. The goal for me now is that I do want to be able to see my weight and be okay with it, because it is just the number and it really does not mean anything. My worth, my value, what I can eat,
is not determined by a number on the scales. So now I am working with my therapist on being okay with what the number says, but I'm also not going to see my weight every week because I don't think that's necessary. I don't see the value in that. I think the only part of me that would want to see my weight every week is the anorexia part of my brain, the obsessive part of my brain that just really wants to know the number. I do think there is quite a lot to commend blind weighing, because I think, when you're really low weight and you're trying to gain weight, that anorexia is so strong. Gaining weight truly does help to reduce the anorexia thoughts, their strength and power over you. And so I think when you're starting at this low point, or actually no matter what weight you are, and you're struggling with really strong cognitions, I think it can be even harder to rationalize that gaining weight is okay. Whereas when you've been in recovery for a while, it is easier to rationalize and tune into your wise mind, to reference DBT. So I do think that it does make sense to blind weigh for a bit at the start of your recovery, or for as long as you need, really, whatever works for you. I don't know, but definitely for me, blind weighing has really helped in my recovery. Basically 2 takeaways from this video that I want you to have. One is that both blind weighing and weight exposure have their pros and cons at different points in your recovery, and I do think it's really worth exploring both of those options with your team in depth and having a think about which one you think might work for you. And the second takeaway is that trust what you know about yourself and what you think might work for you as best as you can. And if you need to be somewhat direct with your treatment team, I think that is okay. As I said, my treatment team did not want me to blind weigh, but I really felt like I needed it, and I'm really glad that I asserted myself on that. And I think that assertiveness is something that people with anorexia struggle with quite often. If you think that blind weighing is going to help you, then asserting yourself on that can have a really significant impact on your recovery trajectory. So I hope that was kind of helpful. I just really wanted to give you my experiences in case that helps anyone. And I'd be really keen to hear what you think, or your experience as well, if you want to share in the comments or send me a message. And I hope you're doing okay. Sending you lots of love in these challenging times. Okay, bye.